Interactive part of our evening today. The A-listers that I spoke to you about previously will be in conversation on this stage in just a while, but before that I will introduce them to you. Our first panelist is Ms. Ottara Gunawardena, CEO of Hotel, as you all know. The next panelist is Mr. W.K.H. Vegapitiya, who is the Executive Chairman of Laughs Holdings Limited. Mr. Vegapitiya is the founder and the Executive Chairman of Laughs Holdings Limited of Sri Lanka. The next panelist is Mr. D.P. Kumarage, who is the Chief Executive Officer and General Manager of People's Leasing and Finance PLC. He has been functioning as the CEO and General Manager of the company since September 1997. He is also the Managing Director of the subsidiary companies of People's Leasing and Finance PLC. Our fourth panelist is the Deputy Director General and the Officer in charge of the Securities and Exchange Commission of Sri Lanka, Mr. Dhammika Pereira. The panelist will be Mr. Renuka Wijewardena, who was our last speaker, and the entire panel will be moderated by Mr. Shamindra Kulamannage, who is the editor of Echelon magazine. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome onto the stage Ms. Ottara Gunawardena, Mr. W.K.H. Vegapitiya, Mr. D.P. Kumarage, Mr. Dhammika Pereira, Mr. Renuka Wijewardena, and Mr. Shamindra Kulamannage.
I think you know the people on the stage. Ottara, she built a company, took it public, and is now not even a majority shareholder in that company. I mean, she's, in the interest of growing the business, she's given away control. Mr. Vegapitiya operates in an industry that's heavily regulated, and also unique is the fact that it's a conglomerate that he took public. Mr. Kumarage built a company after an illustrious career at People's Bank. He, in partnership with the bank, built a company on behalf of the bank and is today the largest leasing company in Sri Lanka. You've heard Renuka, who presented in fantastic detail the challenges of listing in the Colombo Stock Exchange, and Mr. Dhammika Pereira, he's been in the news even today. I think you've announced significant changes to existing regulations on introduction to listing. Hopefully we can talk about that now. Significant announcement this morning from the Securities and Exchange Commission. You've reintroduced introductions with a listing. Can you outline for us what exactly is the scope of this as far as it relates to this audience?
Actually, Shamindra, as you know, introduction as a method of listing is a much cost-effective, quicker way of listing. But unfortunately, right, we faced certain limitations and concerns during the market boom. The introductions actually were in existence since year 2000 up to the year 2000, yes, last year. And due to these limitations, the regulator, as a situational regulation, right, had to suspend temporarily the introductions. And then later on, the regulator revisited this particular mechanism, and now today we came up again with the reintroduction of introduction with some solutions to the limitations.
Can you tell us about the regulations themselves? Are they different to what they were previously, for instance? In a few bullet points, can you highlight for us?
Yes. Now see, when it comes to the public float, right, I mean earlier the introductions did not have any requirement to have a public float. But with the new the regulations, if anyone wants to go, in the sense get themselves listed, they should have a public float. But the difference is you don't have to have IPO. You need not go public and have an IPO and go through a cumbersome process or the costly process.
So I'm just a little confused here. You know, this is a company that hasn't gone public. So how can it have a public float? Maybe
you can have your public float built up by way of a private placement.
Right.
But we have defined who the public shareholders are. So then we have also come up with a lock-in mechanism. Not for the public shareholders, but maybe the promoters and their affiliated parties. That too is for a limited time period, because there was a perception that that this introduction mechanism was used one time for the promoters to exit. Also, according to the new rules, there will be enhanced disclosure with regard to the public and non-public shareholders, some financial information related to the company, so on and so forth. So all those requirements are now announced by way of a directive. We reinstated the introductions. Anyone is at liberty now to basically consider becoming a listed company by way of introduction. It's a very easy and a cost-effective way of listing.
Let me ask.
They had their constraints. I mean, and governance issues in funding us. The single borrowing which was there, we could not go beyond that. And then we started borrowing from the market, from the banks. Then our growth was very impressive. Year on year, we gave some years we grew even by 150% more than the previous year. So then, when we kept on growing like that, funds became a problem. I mean, since it's a leasing finance company, it's a raw material is cash. But then we had problems with regard to gearing, debt to equity ratio, and the capital, all that. So then, if you want to go for the next growth phase, which was very possible for us, we were very optimistic of the next growth as well. We started doing even an annual report, where a lot of information with a good business plan. And with that, we got ourselves prepared for the listing.
How did you approach this? Was this, in your experience, more challenging than you thought it to be initially when you set out to do it? Can you talk us through that?
Before that, let me disclose the good news for the benefit of CSE, because the purpose of this event is to encourage more and more companies to list in the Colombo Stock Exchange. Also, the company is waiting outside to provide services. We have 5 more companies waiting to be listed, and unfortunately, last couple of years we were busy on enjoying the benefits of our first listing. So therefore, we were planning to list 5 companies. We are not scared at all. This is the best time, and we are enjoying the benefit of our interest. If you really look at most of the homegrown enterprises in the history, we have failed to elevate, we have failed to transform some of our local enterprises. In the growth momentum, they get into a Bermuda Triangle. Some of these companies go in, they don't come out. But we wanted to fly over that Bermuda Triangle, or avoid that, and to take this company to the next level, to maintain and assure a sustainable growth and continuation. Most of the Sri Lankan companies started by entrepreneurs like us. With their life cycle, they grow in. They fail to differentiate or separate the entrepreneur and the enterprise. And therefore they hand it over to their children or the next generation, and they do not know the value of it, and then they come back. So we have seen a lot of incidents like that. So from the right beginning, we wanted to make sure this will grow and go into the next stage. That's one. Secondly, being a truly Sri Lankan company, we believe more is better than less. We wanted to broad base our shareholders, ownership. And most of our shareholders are from rural areas. When we wanted to list it, there were 66,000 odd applications, mostly from rural. For the real meaning, it was a real public offering. We had more than 14,000 applications from Jaffna and North and East. So our aim was to broad base the ownership, introduce discipline and good governance. Now, in the beginning we were clueless. We did not know. But there were good companies who were capable enough to guide us, advise us what to do. But it took some time for us to do our internal processes aligned towards making it eligible to be listed in the Colombo Stock Exchange. So it was a bit difficult and new experience to us. But unfortunately, after we decided to do that, there were various myths. When we consulted experienced parties, there were various myths. One is that you are going to lose your control. You will have to disclose everything. And you will not have your freedom. Various myths. And there were all different versions. But now we do really enjoy. It was the most exciting event happened to our organization. And I strongly believe that if I can list more and more companies, I will do it without any hesitation.
So the 5 will come to market next year, we assume?
Surely, yes.
Surely, okay. Otara is very special because of the fact that, she not only built a company, she took it public, and then she attracted a strategic investor in Parksons Retail to Odell, which essentially meant that she is no longer a controlling shareholder of the company she founded, although she remains as chief executive and, I suppose, pretty much in charge of strategy. Otara, can you talk us through this? An IPO makes sense, but you've gone far beyond that. What's the opportunity you saw? How did you rationalize this?
I was starting from the IPO stage. 20 years ago, when I started the business, I didn't even know what an IPO was, or probably didn't know much about stock exchange either. But as you evolve and as the business evolves, it comes to a point where, I think you think of the next level the company needs to get to. And I think, like what he said, what was said, it's important as an entrepreneur. You're very passionate about the business and passionate about what you create. It's really essential to separate the business and the entrepreneur and the passion you have. And sometimes it's very difficult to let go. And to me, the stage of the IPO was really letting go of the company I had built. But it didn't turn out to be to the extent of which, I thought it would be letting go. Not a lot has changed, and to me, it has got a lot better. It's been a really good experience, and I'm really glad I did it. It took me a while to understand about listing, to know what the consequences are, what the benefits are, and certainly a lot more benefits than anything else. And also one of the main reasons it was done was to give the value to the company, because previously, even when we tried to attract funds and investment, it was really very difficult to add a value to the company, and the values that were being given is something that you feel is not right, and so that was really the main thing behind the IPO. And by doing that, also it made the second phase, which is the attraction of an investment, which again was done to take the company to the next phase of development and raising funds for what we want to do in the future. And again, it makes it so much easier to do it when the company is listed. Everything is visible, the values are there, and it's just a much more easier, cleaner process to go through, and very fast. It makes things much faster, much cleaner, and much clearer.